Hey, this is Eli Campbell. You know, Steamboat is renowned worldwide for skiing, biking, and all that our natural playground has to offer. We're fortunate, though, that the natural beauty here attracts more than just outdoor enthusiasts. From local legends to world-class acts, amazing musicians regularly play the venues in our little corner of Northwest Colorado. Join me as I explore the stories and experiences of these talented artists who bring unforgettable performances to Steamboat. This is your Steamboat Sound Check. Welcome to the Steamboat Sound Check. Eli Campbell here with you. I am excited to be joined today by former Steamboat Springs resident, a man who's going to be entertaining us this weekend at the end of Summer Jam, Keller Williams. How are you doing?
I'm alive and well. No complaints.
It is great to see you. Now, like I mentioned, you lived here back in the early, mid-90s. You were a former Steamboat Springs resident. Curious, just originally, what drew you out to Steamboat?
Well, a family ski trip in the 80s. I think really kicked it off. You know, it was definitely a town with a main street and a school, and it seemed like a real community. And I was out there, you know, skiing with my family, and I think it was the Old Town Pub had the band Kingfish, and of course I'd heard of them, you know, through you know, Bob Weir, and I was too young to get in, but I stood out on the street and listened perfectly, and everyone was waving at me through the window, and I was 17, 18 years old or whatever. And it's always remembered that town and that vibe. And when it came time to really checking out Colorado in 1993, I guess it was. No, yeah, it was not 1995 actually. Steamboat was my first place to go to after the original destination, which was Telluride Bluegrass Festival. Like, I'm going to Telluride. I'm driving to Telluride Bluegrass Festival from Virginia. And while I'm out there, I'm gonna go check out some towns. First place I'm gonna go is Steamboat. You know, I didn't really realize it was, you know, probably 6.5 hours from Telluride, and probably took, you know, a whole day to get there with stops and stuff. But yeah, it was. I definitely, that's kind of what led me there. And also, I had some friends that had friends there, so it kind of started out that way. And let's see, the first thing, what was the apartment complex as you're coming into town on 40? It's on the left.
Yeah, the town's changed so much since
Yeah, no,
1995.
I just passed it. I just passed it not long ago though. But what was it?
You have
Walden Pond.
Casey's Pond and yeah, the ponds. Yeah.
Walden Pond, was it?
Yep.
Is it?
Yep.
Oh, Walden Pond.
Yep.
Yeah, there was 6 of us in a 2-bedroom apartment there for a while, and then we moved to this big house out on was it Route County 42, I guess, off of 40 on your way to Hayden.
Yep.
And we, you know, it was, I think it's all completely built up now, but back then there was this one red roof house that was out in the right with the view of the perfect view of the Sleeping Giant.
Yeah.
And so we pretty much stayed there for a good solid 2 years, and we had a furniture burning party at the end when we moved out.
It's funny, I've talked to a lot of people that have been here for a long time, as long as I have, how we all kind of have those similar stories of paying our dues to live here, living in much smaller units than the number of people that we had. I lived with a buddy who paid his rent in skis because he was a
Ah,
sponsored skier, and he slept under our dining room table because we didn't have a bed for him, but that's how you made it work back then. I recently was able to talk to John Waldman and Joe Cabuti, who are part of the Free Summer Concert Series board. They brought the whole thing to life back in 1993, and talked to them a little bit about what the music scene was like back then. And they talked about the pub, they talked about the Inferno. But what do you remember about the music scene when you were living here in Steamboat?
Well, the first thing is there was BW3s, I guess
Yep.
it was the ale house, I guess. But BW3s, I was playing there, I think, like on, I don't remember, Wednesdays, I think. And I would set up like before the dinner rush, and then there'd be the dinner, and then I'd come back at like 9 and then start to play. One time in between the sound check and the start time, my guitar got stolen off of the stage. Someone just kind of, walked past it and grabbed it and left. And it was pretty much out there for the taking, I guess. And because of that, uh, I was able to work out a free ski pass from BW3s, um, uh, plus $50 and dinner. So I think that turned into like a Thursday night. And then that was the summer, the ski season of 96, 97. And then the next year I worked the same thing. I think it was a different night, but it was also ski pass plus $50 and dinner once a week. And then from that that was kind of like the base. And then I played Mocha Molly's on Mondays for $30. I did a Wednesday night at the Gold Pan in Breckenridge for a long time, summer and winter, and many times got stuck in between there and Steamboat in a lot of snow trying to get back. A Slopeside Grill Fridays and Saturday nights. I think that was the first season. That was a big Dos Amigos.
Yep.
Dos Amigos was a place on the mountain.
Yep.
And it's really cool. There was a little strip of there was, I guess, the Heavenly Days, which became something else, and then
Tugboat was up there.
Tugboat.
Yeah.
That's what it is. The Tugboat was kind of like the original music venue, I think, up there, at least in my memories. But Dos Amigos was really cool. It was this little Mexican restaurant, and they had a side little lounge with this really cool slanted roof. And I would play there once a week to maybe 3, 4 people. Like in the summer times, it was definitely not, not something happening every night like it was, I guess, when the ski season was happening. But yeah, there was. I think with all those gigs, I think I was pulling down a cool $375 a week, and that was enough to pay rent, and I already had the ski pass, so that worked out. That worked out in my favor for at least 2 seasons.
That sounds like a dream come true for a young musician in a ski town. Now, you've obviously talked a lot about some of the old bars that were here. If you listen to some of your early music, you can hear subtle references to the Yampa Valley. You're only here for a couple of years, but that's long enough for the Yampa Valley curse to take hold. Legend has it, the sleeping giant always draws you back.
Yeah.
Is there any sense of coming back home when you're able to play a show in Steamboat?
Absolutely, a sense of coming back home. Every time I pass Rabbit Ears, whether it's coming or going, it's definitely a feeling that I remember from my worry-free youth. At the time it was all worries of how I was going to do, but looking back, it seemed very worry-free. But yeah, Steamboat for sure is definitely has amazing home-like memories, even though I was only there for a few years. It's definitely a lot of things went down in those years, and that are really strong in my world today for sure.
Yeah. It's been a few decades, but that's also as long as you've been making music. Looking back on your website, since you released Freak in 1994, I think I counted 35 albums that you've put out there. Beyond the sheer quantity that you produce, though, anyone that's had the pleasure of seeing you play live or follows you on social media can just tell that you kind of have a true passion, a joy for being around and playing music. Can you talk a little bit about how music just speaks to who you are personally so well?
Well, it's basically put, I'm a music lover first, musician second, songwriter third. I am very adamant about having, the most fun I can. It's strange, unrealistic concept, but I take it very seriously. I take having fun very, very seriously, man. And I feel like I can't really entertain a crowd if I'm not enjoying myself, So I really focus on that. I focus on being a audience member and trying to think about what I would want to see if I were currently in the audience, and that gets tricky sometimes. It gets a little bit self-indulgent. And so it's a fine balance. But yeah, it's a passion. Playing music is like breathing. It's like it can be a problem sometimes in social settings and and in family environments, but slowly but surely, friends and family have kind of come to grips that I am the way I am, and I'm to be treated as such. And I'm good with that, And but one thing is for sure, I feel extremely grateful, and like I feel like I'm getting away with something because I'm having such a good time, doing what I do, and I'm always waiting for something to happen, something bad to happen, So I'm treating every show as if it were the last, and I'm definitely I focus on putting on the best show I can with my mental capacity.
And what I love about that mentality is being serious about having fun. Too many people are serious about being serious, and that
Yeah,
allowing you to just have fun with it has really allowed you to experiment with music so much. The way that you have done with looping or putting your own spin to funk music, creating a gospel and bluegrass fusion. What keeps pushing you to kind of experiment and sometimes create all new sounds that have never really been mixed together before, like acoustic dance music, things like that?
right. I would say attention deficit disorder uh, plays a role. It definitely keeps my mind going different places and not wanting to become stagnant in one. You know, just from there's so much music, there's so many performers, there's so many folks that have done what I'm doing, and there's so many mistakes have been made, so many, and I'm trying to gather all that in and just approach it with my own, my own ideas, I guess. And it's really, again, it just kind of goes back to the self-indulgence of entertaining myself, and it's,
Yeah.
it's what it is.
Well, and speaking of entertaining yourself, I mean, that's part of what you're going to be doing here in Steamboat. You're actually not playing Keller Williams music. You're playing Grateful Dead music with Grateful Grass. And obviously, Grateful Dead, musical heroes of yours, not beyond the bluegrass stuff. You put out the Keys album in 2013, which was covers of their music on piano. Can you just talk a little bit about the influence of the Dead on your life and your music in general?
Sure. It grabbed me pretty hard around, I guess I was about 16 or 17. I kind of came up, I guess my first real passion, I guess, was REM, and the way Michael Stipe would kind of like he admits now he was just making up lyrics, and I always liked the way the words kind of went together. Didn't necessarily mean anything, but these words sounded good together, and sometimes they rhymed. I thought that was really interesting, and I took that, and then that whole kind of like psychedelicness of the REM kind of led into the acoustic side of the Grateful Dead. I was definitely into acoustic music, and that acoustic side led me into the electric side. The electric side really got me to the first show, and then once I was at the show, all the scene in the parking lot, obviously in the mid '80s, was this huge gathering of 3 or 4 days in the parking lot, and just happened to be a show going on 3 nights, and there was this community, and I guess I got sucked into it, and then the music really spoke for itself, and it became a bit of a soundtrack to my young teenage mind, thinking about my times at the shows, in the shows, the vibe that was in there, and then the outside with the whole community there, and my fragile teenage mind was just all over it. And I I went to college because I had that opportunity. I'm very lucky. My family had made it very important for me to go there, and so I went there to Virginia Wesleyan College. It was the one school that, well, actually, I got accepted to two schools: Virginia Wesleyan College and North Carolina Wesleyan College. They're two somewhat not really religious, but private schools that allow stoners, surfers types of folks to come in and take their courses on academic probation, meaning you're limited to 12 hours a semester.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I was there for a couple semesters, and there I found, like minds, deadheads, and, came this kind of friend group that would go and, and try and work for 6 weeks and take all your money and then go do, 10 shows over the spread of the country. And then you spend all your money and you come back and you do the same thing. And then semester starts, but then unfortunately so did fall tour. And then that kind of led into, spring tour, and that last one, I took all my books and wrote all my papers, got all my assignments. I came back and I turned them in several weeks late, all handwritten. And of course, I got invited to take 2 semesters off to think about my future. And that was the best thing that ever happened, really. So I guess around 92, 90, yeah, late 92, early 93 is when I kind of stopped going to dead shows and really focusing on going to my own shows, and then taking the tricks I've learned, to travel thrifty around the country through the Grateful Dead. I was able to incorporate that into my own little solo acoustic world, and that's going to restaurants and small bars with my little sound system that I used to call a Ronco on a stick, and set up. You like in Steamboat, you'd wait until that 12 top in the corner finish. You help bust the table, move the table, set up my Ronco on a stick, and then you play. That was several nights a week for many years. And then I guess it was Steamboat that really got me into. Well, my first trip to Colorado, I saw String Cheese Incident, and then, it's long story short, I guess we met finally in Steamboat when they were playing in town.
Yeah.
I think they were opening. It was like the courthouse lawn.
Yep.
Free show.
That's where the free concerts originated, the courthouse lawn.
Woo! Free shows.
Yeah.
Yay! And that was a Wednesday, and they were opening for, I think, Past the Peas, Maceo Parker. And I can't remember what I had for breakfast, but I can remember all this crazy. And I think I'd met Keith Mosley and Michael Travis at that point, but got to meet the other guys, and I had my Ronco on a stick down in BW3s, and one by one, each of the members came and played with me. And then that led to me opening for them, and that led to me leaving Steamboat. And so, yeah, and the Grateful Dead had a huge, to get back to your original question, that had a huge, that was kind of the focal center point of my world, I guess.
Well, and to bring that full circle, you met String Cheese Incident because of a free concert. Now you're playing a free concert with Grateful Dead music, Grateful Grass. But I love the disclaimer that you put out there. It's if you like Grateful Dead songs performed the original way, this isn't for you. If you like traditional bluegrass, this isn't for you. But if you like to sing to those songs and if you like to dance double time, this is your jam. How difficult was it to marry those two ideas and create music that's both familiar and wholly unique at the same time?
Um, I guess it was things like Old and in the way they did Wild Horses. Before that, I was in high school. There was a band, famous bluegrass band called the Seldom Scene, and two of their members were from Fredericksburg, and Jay Starling, who plays with Leftover Salmon. He's an old buddy of mine, and we've done a lot of stuff. His father was one of the original members of Seldom Scene, and so I was listening to them, and there's a whole lot of covers that are done bluegrass that are completely different from the original, but that song, and but it's done in the bluegrass way with banjos and upright bass and fiddles and dobros, and it's completely different. And I knew all these Grateful Dead songs, and it was just I got into the bluegrass world, and the Grateful Dead music is very similar to bluegrass music in the sense that you can have people from all over the country, never met each other, that know the same songs, that can sit in a circle and play music as if they rehearsed forever. It's like jazz has that, and bluegrass has that. And so then you get into these circles, to that similar type of circles, but then people know these Grateful Dead songs. Next thing you know, it's a whole bluegrass jam using whole different songs. And then that leads into, you go into do Bob Marley songs. So it's kind of this, bluegrass is sped up reggae. You think about it. On check, 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 on check. It's bluegrass is reggae. I guess reggae comes from bluegrass. Probably doesn't, but that's kind of yeah. And plus, I think Jerry was a lover of bluegrass music, and I think he would have liked it, and the whole excuse me,
Yeah.
in the whole debate of suckling the teat of the Grateful Dead, I think that Jerry would like the bluegrass, and especially the gospel stuff. And with that being said, that suckling the Grateful Dead teat tastes really good.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially for music lovers. You can't go wrong in a mountain town. You can't go wrong playing Grateful Dead music or playing bluegrass music, and of course doing both. So I think I can speak.
The focus on that is in a mountain town, and
Yeah.
especially it helps if there's a ski mountain in that mountain town.
Yep, absolutely.
That's
Well,
you're exactly right with that, for sure.
well, I think I can speak for the entire Steamboat community in saying that we're excited to welcome you home this Sunday, September 1st. Grateful Grass with the Hillbenders, Little Moon Travelers will be opening up the end of Summer Jam to close out the 2024 Steamboat Free Summer Concert Series, where you got your start from what we hear. So
That's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Keller.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.